What's good? We got Luke Prewett on the podcast today on the process. Excited to have him on. So he's got Prewett Performance going, and something that I think super cool is he's going on his own path. He's doing his own thing, and so I wanted to have him on talk about what he's doing and how he kind of got led to here and what kind of went into it. So excited to hear about it.
Sir, I appreciate you having me, Palmer.
I'm your host, Palmer Karen. And the whole thing with the process, it's the process of me gaining knowledge and gaining wisdom. My guests are going to provide the knowledge and the wisdom, and I'm doing work at the same time to gain knowledge and wisdom. Process of 2 to 3 years down the line, now I'm providing knowledge and wisdom along with the guests. Welcome to Process Podcast.
I met Palmer back at UA very briefly, but I could just tell he was a good dude out the gate, very dedicated, very motivating. And what he's doing is really, driven me and made me want to go harder. So I appreciate you letting me be here. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Blessed to have you on. Excited for this conversation. So you went to UA, you got your kinesiology degree, you're doing exercise science, and you're working with younger athletes. So what kind of led you to that point? Or what kind of were the barriers you faced that got you to that point?
Yeah, man. So to begin with, I always loved sports. I played football, ran track back in high school. I was really good, but I didn't go anywhere with it. So going into college, I was kind of stuck for a little bit my freshman year. I didn't know which route I was going to go down, but I saw the word athletic training, and I thought that was the best decision for me because it had athlete in it. Did that my whole freshman year. I was grinding, working my butt off, working my tail off, but I didn't get in. The program was super selective, and I just wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready for that. And I thought it was the end of the world. I was hurt. I was beating myself up about it, but God had bigger plans. I found out about kinesiology, and that really excited me because, the whole sports science world, being able to work with athletes, and that just really drew me in personally. And I had a lot of really good mentors in my life. I got to shout out my advisor, Ms. Vold, Shelly Vold. She helped me a ton. She got me through, especially the last 2 years, but those 3 years, she was there with me every step of the way. She was really motivating. She just helped me grind. But kinesiology, it was a struggle, bro. It was very difficult. The classes were hard, and I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to having to study a lot and really put in effort, but I enjoyed it. I loved it so much. I was around like-minded people like myself, people who love sports, people who loved, working out, training, nutrition, and just helping other people get to where they want to be, helping people get to their goals. So that really motivated me. And that was just what I wanted to do in school. And I graduated with a BS in kinesiology, exercise science, worked my butt off, finished there, graduated last spring, and opened up my own business. I'm 23. I've worked at basically every gym in Alabama, and I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to, like you said, go off the beaten path, and that's where I'm at right now.
No, dude, that's sweet. And I have a couple questions. So off of that already, but so that athletic training, that door closes, like a lot of times when you're in it, when you're in that situation, it feels like everything's kind of like shutting down on you, or it's like those doors are being closed when you felt like they never should. And God's closing those doors for maybe a reason that you don't see at that point. So how do you handle that when you're investing? I mean, at that point, it's a year, right? You're investing a full year in there, and then you get that news and you're like, okay, well, I got to kind of pivot, and it takes some time. So how did you bounce back from that?
Yeah. Well, I looked at all the good and the bad, obviously, but the good, I was able to get CPR certified, AED certified, and a lot of my classes were able to transfer. So that was a really good thing. I met a lot of really good people on the way. A lot of my friends still to this day are from freshman year. One of my good friends, Bo Baldwin, we went to high school together, but we really weren't that close. We lived together freshman year and just going to class every day, getting up early, having to study, having to go in each other's rooms and tape each other's ankles all the time. Like, it was really fun. We got close, and I talked to him a good bit. He's doing well with athletic training. And I mean, you can't look at the bad things in life, especially when you have God on your side. He's always he's always going to show you the lighter way, the better way. So just kind of being able to see the good in that really helped me and changed my mindset.
Yeah. Like Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, where it talks about, trusting God's plan, not don't lean on your own understanding. That's not exact, but yeah, man, it really is, because it's like some of those doors you don't see at the time being shut are kind of some of the best things that can happen to you. And then like you said, you've always been interested in like being an athlete or training in a sense. So, and the classes are hard, right? So you're going through these hard classes, but how much easier is it when you're passionate about something? Because I think people sometimes try to dive into things for the wrong reasons, for like money or for driven by like wrong things. And so that's going to make them studying those classes so much harder versus when you have that passion and you really want to like help people. Did you find that when you were facing those classes that were maybe more challenging that you could go back to like what's my purpose for doing this, like helping others? Like did that help you get through that?
Dude, 100%. I mean, sophomore year, I'm taking bio, anatomy, physics, chemistry, killing me. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I would much rather be learning about this than, math, music, history. Those are all great, but that just wasn't my thing. That wasn't my thing at all. Learning
Mm.
about the body, just being interested in that. And that really fueled me, like you said. My senior year of college, like I took advanced advanced hold on, advanced exercise science or whatever, and that was just completely different. Like, flip me upside down, very difficult, but I would much rather be doing that than something else. So I put in the time, I put in the effort, and I was having to grind. I was having to study every single day, open the textbooks for the first time in a minute, knocking the dust off of them. But I mean, it was worth it, bro. It was worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And something I found when I moved to Tampa, I started surrounding myself with more like-minded people. And I'm sure you could kind of feel this. You were kind of had a different path along with your major, kind of from the get-go. But for me, I was in finance. And I feel like we always are told like one way to think. You go to school, we all learn in the same way, and then you go get the job that like kind of goes to your major. And a lot of people would even say like that with your kinesiology degree, you could go into a path that's more like walk down or that's more normal instead of starting your own like socials and starting your own getting your own clients, younger athletes. And so my thing is like, what have you learned about being able to do something you love to do and get paid for it? Because it's so out there, and I don't think as many people realize that you can do something you love to do and get paid for it as well.
For sure. Yeah. With kinesiology, there's a lot of different routes you can go. You can go, the set route of PT, or you can do your own thing. You can do strength and conditioning. You can work in a bunch of different settings. So, yeah, I mean, just when you love something that much and it means something to you, you're going to work for it. You're going to grind for it. And I like that I had a lot of options there and that I could kind of branch off and do whatever I wanted. Or I could, go on that set path and follow everyone else. But just kind of growing up where I was from, I was never, riding waves or whatever you want to call it. Like, always loved to do my own thing and kind of go my own route. So that's really, this gave me that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And so now you get out of school, you graduated, and now you start getting like clients. What's it look like when you have no experience? Maybe you have a little bit, but you don't have like those client results yet. So how do you start to accumulate those? Are you giving services for free? Are you just helping out your buddies and using those results? Like how does that look like starting from zero?
Yeah. So thankfully the past 4 summers, all of college, I was coming home and I was training these guys. So I built a
Mm.
lot of really good relationships already with the kids, with their parents, with some of the coaches in my area that let me use their field. So I had a pretty good base to begin with. I just needed, the facility. I needed the weight room. I needed the field. And that's where Ben Neal and Stockton McGuire came in. I saw they're paying rent over at a place called 119 off 280. I hit them up. They said, come on. They needed a performance coach, and kind of the rest is history. We're locked in right now, doing a lot of good work for them. They're helping me out a ton, especially because I'm young and they've been in the exact same position as me. But yeah, man, it's hard gaining clients. It really is. It's a struggle. You have to grind. You have to send out a lot of stuff weekly, daily, even. There's a lot of gyms that do the exact same thing that I want to do here in this area. We're pretty spread out. Like, you've got 2 or 3 guys downtown, a few guys in Hoover. But I mean, it's competitive. It's a very competitive market. And that's why you
Mm.
have to offer things that other coaches don't, other schools don't. And you just have to be unique.
Yeah, then they bring yourself because there are so many services out there, but it's like the people who aren't themselves and can't like don't really know what they're doing. Like you've been building it up for 4 years, they're not going to keep the clients, they're not going to provide the results. So it kind of weeds those people out.
For
But when
sure.
it gets to the top of the line, you got to really make an emphasis and be authentic because that's the only way you're going to keep clients.
Right.
Yeah, so dude, that's cool. And then like so as an athlete transferring to, now training these younger athletes, I mean, you can really resonate with them. Like how big have you, I mean, I'd say most people that get into coaching are able to do that, but how much like would you say your background in athletics can transfer to helping out these younger athletes? Like you kind of get the day in, day out grind of it and how important it seems at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I was one of the better players at my school, and that helped me a lot. I saw the good and the bad in a lot of things. Just being able to resonate with these kids and, tell them the mistakes I made, the good things that I did, the things I could have worked on, the things I could have done better. I mean, it's easy to talk to these guys. Like, I don't see these kids as just clients or just athletes. Like, they're genuinely my friends. Like, all my little brothers, like, I care for them. I'm gonna help them out as long as I can, as long as their parents are gonna, keep trusting me, which is a big deal for me because I want to have that relationship with them. I want them to be able to come to me about anything because I wish I would have had, a big bro, a mentor back when I was in high school. It probably would have taken me farther, but this is the plan that God had for me, and I'm very thankful for that. But like I really enjoy being around these kids. They're funny. They give me a lot of life. Like they're encouraging. And I didn't even think I was going to like working with kids. So it's just really flipped everything for me, and I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, you learn something new every day. And so you're talking, I don't, one of the guys' names was Ben, but what was the other guy's name?
Stockton
Uh,
McGregor.
okay, Stockton. So Ben and Stockton. So I would say, are these guys a little bit older, like mentors per se? And like, how important is it to have that mentor in your life? We talk about this a lot on the process, but how important it is to have someone like a mentor that's doing the same thing you're doing and kind of help you lead you down that path, keep you from mistakes, and also teach you along the way.
For sure, yeah. They're a little bit older than me. Ben, he lives in North Alabama. Stockton lives here. Ben has been, doing quarterback training his whole life. He played at Samford. I've had that connection with him for a while. Both really good Christian guys. They lead in the right way, and they don't tell you something that they wouldn't do. They're very
Mm.
straightforward with everything, and I appreciate that because hypocrisy is a big thing in this world today, and you just can't.
Especially the Christian religion, I would say too. A lot of people will say things and not back it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
yeah, dude, that's huge. Having sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, dude, it's like having those. It's almost like there's a difference. I was reading a book. It's called Holy Habits, and it's talking about like the power of discipleship and how there almost is like a sense of there's a difference between mentorship and discipleship. And discipleship is like bringing biblical principles into like decisions and daily decisions and your life decisions versus where mentorship's like everything without the spiritual aspect. So I think it's super important to have like continue this discipleship along with like the mentorship. So it's all in one. And I think you kind of can get that from those guys and are maybe like providing that to the next generation at the same time.
100%. When I was in Tuscaloosa, I worked with a company called the Lab USA. Great guys. Donnie Lee, Lotto, Trey. Man, those guys changed my life for real. They took me in just like I was their brother, like I was their own.
Mm.
Gave me an opportunity to train a lot of Tuscaloosa athletes, youth through pro, which was huge for me, boosted my confidence on everything. They took me down to Tampa, which was the time of my life. I got to go to House of Athlete, which is Brandon Marshall's gym, which is world-renowned gym, one of the best in the world, best in the country. And just seeing all those big-time athletes work and grind just really, changed my perspective on a lot of stuff. And just Donnie taking me under his wing just really meant a lot to me. Like he was like a big brother, like a father figure for me, even though we're close in age, but just being able to talk to him and relate to a lot of things that we had both gone through, it just really helped me. And that transition from college to living at home in Birmingham, like that it was a lot smoother than I expected because of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important is like, so I think there's three kinds of relationships we have as like human beings that are important. It's like equals or friends. And then you have like people you mentor and people you're mentored by or discipled by or disciples. I guess we can go both ways. But I think it's super important that we have all three aspects. So how have you been able to like I found by having like some people who I can mentor or help out in coaching or different things like that, that I've actually learned a lot more just from being able to teach. Because when you teach, I think it's like a stat that you like remember 90% more of when you're teaching something and you're applying it. So have you found that being a mentor to kind of these kids that maybe are just a few years younger than you?
Yeah, most def. I mean, like you said, like you learn from other people. Sometimes I think I know everything, which is completely wrong. I'm kind of a self-righteous guy, which will bite me in the butt a lot of times. But yeah, being around older kids, younger kids, youth through pro, you're constantly learning. Like the growth never stops. I'm never going to get to where just, where I'm capped out, where I know everything. And I really
Mm.
appreciate all the people I've been around just because they keep telling me that. They keep challenging my growth and my learning. And it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's a huge thing in my life is when I used to grow up and I would think I knew everything, and like that was the thing that limited me from growing, like knowing thinking you know everything. And it takes like one, humbling yourself, but two, really realizing like, okay, I really don't know much at all. And not in
Right.
like a sense of like, self-degrading, but like being just like always willing to learn. Like, yeah, I have some skills and I have some talents and I have some knowledge that I have, but there's so much like that I don't know. And when you can finally admit that and be open to learning from everyone, that's
Mhm.
like the most one, you're humbling yourself and allowing yourself to just grow so much more. That's what I found recently when I've started diving more into books and diving into like the unlimited wisdom of like books and like the internet. You got to be careful what you see on there, but
Right.
really, yeah, so I would say once 'cause when we both went to UA, how'd you navigate UA with your faith journey? For me, I can kind of speak on like I really didn't give my life to Christ till after I left Alabama,
Mhm.
just because when I was saved, and then like just that's how my path went. But how do you navigate kind of the temptations of UA? What would you say to the person who's going to college as an athlete to not be tempted by all the worldly things, the lust, the drinking, all that, because that's gonna weed out probably the majority of athletes trying to make it, and very few make it on their own right now already.
For sure. Yeah, I came from a small private Christian school here in Birmingham. So going to Alabama was a complete culture shock. Seeing everything I'd never seen in high school, making a lot of bad decisions, but they helped me, later down the road. I mean, it was really just the experience. Like everyone talks about kind of going crazy your freshman year. And it's true. A lot of people do it. That was something I kind of struggled with. And just doing that, I realized this is not what I want to be doing. This is not the person I am. It's not the person I grew up being. So you really have to make a decision which path you're going to go down. And that's hard for people. That's harder for, most people. And just kind of picking that fine line of, do I want to go to the parties? Do I want to do this and that? Or do I really want to make something of myself, take advantage of the time that I'm here, enjoy the people I'm around, find good people, find a good group. And that's one thing is whoever you're hanging around with, that determines what you're going to do.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's what I really found is like I surround myself with some great people. We have some like mutuals as well, but
Mhm.
still, it's like I really left school and I was like, man, I'm still not like I wasn't living in the way I felt like Christ calls me to live. And when I could fully give my life to Christ, like that's when I've been the most fulfilled, joy filled. I've made so much growth. And I mean, at the end of the day, the word is the most wise book you can read. I've been learning just so much from like diving into the word. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, yeah, it's just super cool. So let's say, you have these young athletes. What are your tips to these young athletes? Because at the end of the day, the majority of young athletes striving to go to the pros or even college aren't going to go to like the pros. What lessons would you kind of teach them to like be like looking forward to implement in their daily lives so then they can be prepared the best to like when they do go to the real world if they don't happen to make it to the pros, because like it's so tough to get there.
For sure. Um, I mean, there's a lot of things that go along with that. You have to put in work daily, not just with yourself, with your social skills, with your mental skills, field, court, whatever it is. Like you got to grind. You got to grind when no one's watching. You have to grind when people are watching. It's harder for these kids because we're in such a social media era where you do
Mm.
anything is recorded, you do anything is posted. If you text anything, it can get screenshotted and used against you. So these kids have to be a lot smarter. It's harder for them than it was maybe for us or generations before. Um, I just think they're kind of at a disadvantage on it, like being honest, just because it's so much harder. They have a lot more things to worry about. They've got all the influence. You see a lot of these older college guys who don't do the right things. But
Mm.
then you have a lot of guys who do the right things. Like I remember Devontae Smith said he won out once or twice, and it was after the Natty. And there's a reason he won the Heisman. He was the best receiver in Alabama football history, and he's doing it in the league. And the thing is, he's not a big guy. He's not the
Mm.
biggest. He's not the strongest, but He worked his butt off, and he made a decision on, I'm going to follow the right path, and God's rewarding him with that. But yeah, most athletes don't go to the pros. It's very slim. It's difficult. So having a backup plan is very important. That's something I wish I would have had, because my whole dream was to go play college football. And when that didn't happen, I felt stuck. I felt like, I was screwed at the end of the day. But having a backup plan is huge for you. Having a good community, good people around you who are going to lift you up, who are going to encourage you, good games, bad games, whatever it is, they're just on your side. Having people who genuinely care about you. But all those little things, yeah, it matters.
Yeah, and it's like your identity is rooted in sports so long. So something I can speak on is, I think having your identity rooted in anything except for like being in Christ first is where you're gonna, like, it can be pulled away from you. Like,
Right.
God forbid, like you lose like a kid or a wife or something, but it's like if that's like your full foundation, man, you're gonna be like wrecked. Like it talks about it in Matthew 7:24-27, that if your foundation is not like the Lord, then when like the storm comes, you're gonna be uprooted, your house is gonna fall. And so I think, how do you navigate? Because I had the same thing happen. I was going to play golf in college, and then I got burnt out. I didn't get the offers I wanted, and so your identity is ripped away from you, and you go through this quote unquote existential vacuum where you're like, what, like, who am I? Like, this has been my life for the last 4, 10, 15 years, like literally some people from the kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so injuries, stuff like that. How did you do that? Like going from, my identity is this football player, this college athlete, maybe you didn't even aspire to pros, but college athlete. How do you go from all in to, I didn't get an offer, I didn't want to play, all out? Now it's like, what do I go next?
Dude, it's very difficult. It is extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie. Coming in freshman year, everyone's going to frat parties. They're doing the frat sorority stuff. That was never my vibe. So I just felt left out. I didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. I'm staying in the dorm a lot. But
COVID too. We had COVID too.
COVID, that messed us up. Not being able to see people, classes are online, doing stuff like this, virtually stuff. But dude, I feel like I'm really just now finding my identity, which is 4 years later. So it takes time. It takes a lot of effort. You got to go through trials and tribulations. You got to see what's best for you. You have to experience stuff. You got to try stuff. You got to get out of your comfort zone. And a lot of my friends, they helped me with that, getting out of my comfort zone, meeting people, just realizing who I am and what I can be. And just confidence, bro. Like being confident in yourself, your abilities. Positive self-talk is huge. You have to have, that good angel in your ear constantly telling you, you can do this, like you, him, like for real. Like
Yeah,
I love
dude.
that term. I like how people are using that, but it's true. Like guy or girl, like you, him or her, like at the end of the day, like if you're really positive and you're on a mission, like nobody can stop you.
Yeah, that's like the whole goal of this podcast, man. It's for spreading positivity, because at the end of the day, so many people, it's just like this world filled with negativity and people putting each other down. And I think people like me and you, I mean, our goals are just to uplift whoever we're around, whether it be athletes, whether it be friends, coworkers, whatever it is, man. We're just trying to spread that message, because if you can wake up and look yourself in the mirror and you love that person in the mirror, and then you
Mhm.
can go and love everyone around you, man, your life's going to be like fulfilling just in that itself. But also you're going to be planting those positive thoughts and those positive future outcomes, or whatever, like good, like visualization in a sense, and you're gonna reach those results a lot more often than if you're negative or fear driven. So yeah, man,
100%.
that's amazing. So one question I like to always dive into on the process is, because I like to get vulnerable. Like I feel like that's the best way people can learn from you, is like, what's like the toughest adversity you kind
Mhm.
of faced in your life, and how did you kind of bounce back from that adversity, and did you see a positive result, or maybe it's still going on, who knows, but like, did you end up seeing a positive from it?
Yeah. I'd say probably the toughest thing in my life was my dad passed away when I was 12. And, that shook up my whole world. That changed my whole family dynamic, caused a lot of problems over here. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of good that came from it. I became a man early. I was able to do a lot of things. Kind of this whole self-made entrepreneur mindset came from that. I don't want to be in a box my whole life. I don't want to really work for anybody. I want to work for myself. I want to build my own brand. I was able to get, be a good big brother to my little brother, just kind of looking out for
Mm,
him. Um, a lot of the people in my high school, they weren't there for me. A lot of the coaches and the teachers who said they were going to be there for me, they weren't. So I just kind of had to navigate my own route. And it just gave me a lot of discernment, man. Like being able to know good from bad. I was really good about that in high school, of separating myself from people who weren't motivated, had no
Mm.
goals. Um, but yeah, it taught me a lot, and I'm still learning from it. And I think it was an awful thing, but it was a good experience, and it changed my life for the better, I'd say.
Yeah, it's super tough, but like, yeah, it's super tough, and you're always gonna like think about it and feel on it. But also, you grew up quicker. But also, when like not seeing those people be there for you, it's like you could be that person for your younger brother. You could be that people, and now you can probably take that into every relationship in your life when someone needs it. Is you have that, you can show that empathy or that compassion to those people. And yeah, man. Well, thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. That's really tough, and like people can definitely relate to that. Like
Yeah.
how to move forward because you're always gonna remember, but you also have to move. You move forward as well and keep growing and always remember and do it in remembrance. So
Right.
that's super cool, man. And so I want to kind of dive into what's going forward, Prewett Performance. So I've been looking at the socials a little bit, obviously supporting them. So I actually deleted all social media for this year, but I just hop on my laptop to try to not have the apps on my phone. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to show like love to the people that I follow, of course. But I was scrolling through like, and you're posting the athletes' results, and now you're getting that, I guess, social proof of really giving results for your athletes. So what's that look like? Prewett Performance growing
Mhm.
into the next, I don't know, however long. Where do you see it going? Your vision for it?
Yeah.
Social media being a factor in that, and then kind of the why behind it going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I made the account back when I graduated in May. I didn't think it was going to go to this level. I didn't think I was going to be able to take it that far, but just the power of social media, bro, being able to post something every single day. You're always bringing in attention. Insights matter. The views matter. Um, just really been building, bro. Like, every single day I try to get something out there. I try to have, something on my screen that people can see, people that just draws people in, that attracts people. I thought that I was just gonna only follow, athletes or football players, basketball, whatever it is, all these other accounts. But then I was like, wait, no, I need to grow my account first. So I went
Mm,
through, followed a lot of people, people who don't play sports, random accounts, and that helped me a lot. I think I have 700 followers right now, which is crazy because it's just been growing rapidly over the past few months. Going to get to 1K soon, which will be huge. But dude, I love it. I mean, it motivates me every single day. Gives me kind of my reason, my why, and just these kids like it. They like to see the work. They want to show people that they're working, which isn't always a good thing. But I was the exact same way in high school. You want to see people. You want people to see that you're grinding. So that kind of gives them that opportunity. And like you were saying, yeah, I'm seeing the results. I went to a basketball game the other night. One of my girls and one guy that I trained, they balled out. They looked really good, and that made
mm.
me confident in my abilities. It's like, okay, my coaching's working, my training's working. And then even for myself, I do all my workouts that I prescribe for my kids, either the day before or whatever. And I've gotten bouncy. I'm in the gym dunking. I'm not at all, but it works, and that just gives me a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. Where I'm trying to take it, though, I would love to open up my own facility either in Florida or in Texas. That will obviously be later down the road, but for right now, I'm here in Birmingham. I'm gonna keep grinding with Ben and Stockton over at 119. We're gonna keep doing our thing, and I'm loving it, man.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. That's sick. And like, yeah, I mean, you're starting like smaller, but you've grown already. And social media is huge because if you get one post, 1,000 views, but you get one person interested, it's huge. But on top
Right.
of that, it's like, the plans that God has for you in these next few years, you probably can't even, they're like unimaginable because who
Mhm.
knows? You're going to open up this facility. I'm excited to see it. I love what you're doing with the young athletes, generate or like really developing the next generation. And the coolest thing I think is how you said you do all your workouts the day before, and like you're seeing the results because a lot of times I think the hardest thing as an athlete growing up or is when you have a coach that tells you to do this stuff and then doesn't replicate it or tells you to like, this will get you in shape and then they're out of shape. Like that's the toughest thing. So I love
Yes.
like that, you're coaching these kids and you're like, I'm doing it the day before and I'm dunking and I'm not the tallest guy, but it's gonna work. And then you go to the games and you get to see the work. You get to get that like one like a little bit. You're excited and proud that you see them putting in the work and getting the results. But now it's giving you that proof, and the more you get that proof, the faster it's going to grow. And I think social media will be big for you because let's say you grow Prewett Performance to 10,000 when you open up this facility, maybe 50, whatever it is, you kind of, you get new ideas for content and you keep growing, you keep learning. Maybe you
Mhm.
open up that gym, you have 50,000 people, and it happens that when that gym opens, you're like fully, you never know. So that's why I think social media is so cool. You can start another business from it. You can do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
So,
When I worked with Donnie and them boys at the lab in Tuscaloosa, they let me run their social media account, and that gave me a ton of experience doing that because I've always been, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter guy, but just being able to do the insights, doing the stuff behind the scenes, creating posts, creating captions, doing stuff that's appealing to, the younger generation, older generation, whoever it is. But that just taught me a lot, and I was able to take a lot of those skills and put it into performance.
yeah, and I think a lot more goes into it than people think. Like making content isn't just easy. It's not just replicable. And like
Mhm.
a lot, like it took me, I've been posting on and off for 2.5 years. I think you probably can relate to it because you've been posting probably for, I don't know, a couple of years now, especially just like personally. But it takes time and you don't realize the strides you're making, but really like learning how to get people to stick to it or like be engaged with the post. It's like, it's a science. And then,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, the algorithm too, like I think my account's up to 400, which it started at 0 2 years
Mhm.
ago. So we're making strides, but I'm just kind of figuring out the content I really want to make and how I want to influence people. And it's an ever growing thing.
Mhm.
So that's sick, man. Thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation. Anything else you want to say to like the people listening? Maybe some of your athletes are gonna be listening. So kind of last thoughts or words you want to say to them, advice to
Mhm.
the younger athletes that you're gonna be training or people who are just maybe listening to this.
Yeah, man. I think what we're doing is very different than what other people do. A lot of my friends, they've got family that they can just fall back into a business or, you know, work for somebody they know. I didn't have that opportunity in my life. So being able to create something for yourself is huge.
Uh,
Confidence is everything. You have to know who you are. And if that takes a while to figure out, that's fine. But being confident in yourself and your skills, that matters. And just, grind, bro. Whatever you're doing, work towards a goal. If it's a small goal, if it's getting up on time or brushing your teeth, like do it. Um, Take
do it every
notes.
day. Yeah.
Yes, every single day. Take a lot of notes from people you trust, people you want to be like. Don't take notes from people who, they're not doing the exact same thing or they're not in a place where they can even talk to you. You have
Or where
to.
you want to be. Yeah, you got to
Right.
take the notes from the people who are where you want to be and the people
Right.
who are like guided by the right morals and like beliefs that you are, because that's important.
100%. But yeah, bro, like just work. At the end of the day, working, it can be a good and a bad thing, but fall in love with what you're doing and it makes it so much easier and be inspiring to people. Be a good example. I put down a lot of my habits just because I'm not going to be a hypocrite to a lot of these kids that I coach. I'm not going to tell them to do something while I'm doing it on the weekends. So just be the person that you want to be, but make sure it's a good person.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love that. And like speaking into that, last thing I'll kind of say is that confidence thing is Hormozy talks about it, but building that undeniable stack of proof. If you're not like in the best physical shape or maybe like you don't think you're fast as an athlete, it's like, well, why don't you just keep, speed work every day? And then when you see that clock is a little bit faster than last time, it's like you're building that second proof that you are fast, or you're building that second proof that you do get up every day at 6 a.m. because you've done it 20 days in a row. So I
Yeah.
think that's like just become that person, even if like, because then your identity is going to change in itself. And then the last thing you said is being that person that role models the things you say, because at the end of the day, if you're telling the kids like, hey, drinking's not great, and you go out on the weekends and you're drinking, then it's
Mhm.
like you're not setting that example. You're like, is it that do as I say, not as I do, and that will never work, especially parenting for sure. But
Mhm.
like just even mentoring, man, it's like it's hard to have a mentor who's saying don't do this, and then you see him like messed up out by chance, or you're like, man, everything I was learning from this guy, he's not living it out. So that's huge. I
Right.
love that you're doing that and you're living
Mhm.
out exactly how you're kind of what you're preaching, man. So that's
Mhm.
amazing. Thank you for coming on. That's Luke Prewett. Great conversation. And dude, I'm
Sure.
so excited to see how Prewett Performance just continues to evolve. Obviously, important all the way. We'll,
Thank you.
we'll definitely have more just conversations and maybe a little check in the next few months or a year in another pod, dude. I love throwing around ideas and just catching
Mhm.
up.
Dude, that was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me. If you're not following already, make sure you're tapped in with the process. This dude's been, working his butt off. this is a lot of work for him, all the audio, all the technical side. So I appreciate you. And I'm really inspired by what you're doing, bro. Don't stop ever. Don't let the haters get in the way. None of that, bro, but just keep
Yeah,
working.
yeah. I appreciate it. I love it. So socials
Mhm.
are Prewett Performance, Prewett Performance, right?
Mhm.
On the Instagram, any other platforms you want them to go to, get directed to. And obviously he's got athletic training, pretty much all sports. Are you all sports?
All sports, youth through pro, all ages, all genders. Let's do it. Let's work. Hit me up. I'm
Boom.
on Twitter as well at Prewett Perform, or you can hit up my main Instagram, Luke Prewett 8.
Boom. Perfect. Well, that's it. That's the process this week. Thank you for coming on. Peace.